Hi there, folks, and welcome to another episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. Well, in this series of videos, we've been trying to get some outboards going. We've got a 15-horse Johnson I'm trying to get back together. Still waiting on parts for that as of right now, this recording. Before this video airs, I might actually have those parts. Got the 20-horse 1975 Mercury. There again, had to order some carb kit parts. Waiting for that to show up. So while that's coming in, I've got parts actually for this one that I ordered quite a while ago. And it's been sitting here waiting for me to get back to it on this 35-horse 1982 Johnson long shaft. Has remote controls. It's not a tiller steer. I really wish it was a tiller steer. But this is one that I'd pulled the head gaskets off of, or the head off of a long time ago. Just dropped it. Now, when I picked this one up, back in a year ago or so, I didn't know what was exactly wrong with it. The guy had it for sale, pretty cheap. I can't remember if he said it overheated or not, but after looking at it, the paint coloring on the cylinders and stuff got just a little light tan. But from what I can tell, the cylinders look fantastic, and it didn't have any compression. When I pulled the head off of it, the head gasket was blown. You got a thin area right here between the two cylinders. You could see where it was blowing by. So I ordered a new head gasket, and another intermediate gasket, and then a thermostat. So we're going to put the head gasket and everything back on here, clean things up, put it back on here, and see if we can restore compression. Because this engine was running until it overheated and died. Because once you blew the head gasket, you lost compression, and that was game over. The good news is it didn't allow water to go into the cylinders. Nothing got rusty, nasty, or messed up that way. So we're going to get in here and start messing with it. I think once if the compression can be restored, the cylinder walls, like I said, I'll get you in here tight. Cylinder walls still have crosshatch in them. So that's actually pretty good. That means that things aren't just worn and scarred. There's no lines in the cylinder. These cylinders are just butter slick smooth inside, which is good. But we'll get this stuff in here. Let's dive in and see if we can make this one run today. I've not had a lot of good luck so far. I'm trying to get a few of these things going without having to order some parts, and it stalls me out for a week or two, and then I can get back on it. This one, cross our fingers, we can get her going. All right, folks, I got the engine tipped up like you'd have it if you're bringing it out of the water on my engine stand, so I can get you a good shot in here. This is the bottom cylinder, and as you can see, it's hard to see. I can see crosshatch still in there from when it was originally manufactured down in the cylinder here. This is actually quite smooth, and you still see the crosshatch. There are no lines around the entire thing. Let me see if I can get you on this other one here. It's kind of hard to get the right amount of light in here down in the cylinder to see stuff. But same way here. This cylinder there's no ridge. Like I said, you can see the crosshatch in there still. This thing looks gorgeous all the way around. And when I roll it over, you can hear it on the bottom end. And you can still see there's oil in here on the rings. This thing, it's got some carbon buildup on it for sure. Overall, this thing, there's nothing too alarming here. But there are some other alarming things I want to show you. So the other part I want to share with you is, okay, this covers up the head. This is where your spark plugs go through. Once you got the head on it, this is I'm pretty sure this is a temperature sending unit here, because it's got a wire hook to it. That makes sense. Thermostat is, I bought a new thermostat. I got to figure out where that goes yet. Anyway, this color here started off as this color here from the factory. It was white. And you can see here, this is white. This didn't get too hot back here. But does anybody out there know how much temperature does it take to get this engine have to get to turn paint to this color tan from white? I'm thinking it takes a few hundred degrees there. The other thing I'll show you, my coil. My coil's here. Now I hope you can see this. I'm trying to make sure you can. This is melted. Both of these are melted here on either side, and both coil packs are both melted. This one's way bad. I mean, it's melted almost half in two here. That's how hot this thing got on the head. And these mount right to the head. Now I'm going to show you the head. Now the head here, you know, also look at the color on this bad boy here. I'm trying to keep you in focus. But yeah, that should be white paint as well. But that got pretty dark. And it cooked the gasket. As you can see the gasket here, I'm hoping you can see this in detail. I hope you guys are using a computer screen because it's harder to see on your phone. But this gasket was all cooked. It's all warped. It's got some really, you know, this is all bubbled around here. So when this thing got hot, this head gasket let go. Let's look at the head bolts down in here. Here's the old thermostat. This is the color of a new thermostat. So this looks like it's been through a fire. And obviously some of the head bolts, you can definitely tell by that. You can kind of see the, I don't know, it looks like pickling almost. I'm debating whether I should even use these bolts because they've been hot, exposed to a lot of heat. I don't know if the tensile strength on those would be compromised. I'm a little concerned about that. And you can see here where the coil packs mount on the head, how these are just melted. I mean, there's just stuff melted onto it that I'm gonna have to get off. So that's some of the challenges I've got going here. I really hope the motor is salvageable. Just looking at the condition of the cylinder walls, that doesn't mean that the cylinder walls didn't warp. They could be out around. When I try to run it again, everything just goes to crap on it. But I'm going to clean this up here. I'm going to scrape this gasket surface off here, and we're going to check this head for flat and see what it looks like. Now I'm using my wide gasket scraper so I can hit this surface and this surface at the same time without gouging either one. I'm trying to scrape as much of this burnt on gasket and all this possibly carbon and whatever else might be on this surface at this point in time. So that's scraped pretty smooth and clean. There's nothing but machine surface really showing. Yes, it's heavily discolored, but we'll have to scrape the cylinders down that way as well. Now what I have here is a scale. People call them rulers. I call them a scale because I'm a machinist / toolmaker by trade. And this is a nice straight edge the way these are manufactured. What I've got is a 1,000 or 2,000ths feeler gauge here, and if you hold it across here, and see, I can slip that 2,000ths feeler gauge right through there. And if you wonder if your scale's straight, flip it over. Repeat the process. Obviously, this scale isn't teardrop shaped or anything funky like that. That just tells me that this head is no longer flat. Now I can keep going up in thicknesses. I'm just going to go clear up to 6 thou. And that's 0.006 right there. 6 thou worth of drag there. So that tells me this thing's got a dish in it like this of 6,000ths. Well, that's not cool. And let's see what it seems like over here. That's a little thinner there. But yeah, that's easily. Let's go this way and see what we got. Anything funny there? Now there seems to be pretty decent, that direction. Let's go back to my 2 here. See, if I go across there, that 2,000ths still goes, so it ain't quite 6 that way, but there's definitely a hole there, or a dish, or 3 thou. It's about 4 thou right there. So 4 one way, 6 this way. You know, that's like a big old picture, a big old dish this way and this way. Now, as you can see where your bolts are around the perimeter, that if you tighten that down, that's not going to have as much pressure on the gasket. So when you go put the brand new gasket on, you know, it's not gonna pull down tight as it needs to. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this. I hate to, but I'm gonna open it up and show you some of the why it's concerning. So they got a gasket, a bag, inside of a bag, inside of a, okay. Anybody know which way this goes? So you got this nice brand new head gasket, right? And you got this nice metal ring around here. And what's going to happen when this is higher and higher here than here, this gasket isn't thicker through here than it is over here. It's designed to be the same thickness and have a little bit of crush to it. Well, the problem you're going to have is you're not going to have the same crush here, 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 and here, and here, and here. You're going to have a lot less crush here, which is going to create a weak spot between the cylinders. And that way that gasket's coming to work a lot harder than it needs to. So what needs to happen here, get this on in the right direction, what needs to happen here is I've got to make sure this head is flat. And there's a couple ways to do it. I could take it into the machine shop, set it up on the table, take a fly cutter, and just give this thing a light kiss across there to make it flat again. But not everybody has a mill available to them, so I'm going to show you how to do it without that. And the other gasket I have, I'm going to go ahead and slip this stuff back in here for some safekeeping. The other gasket I have here goes on this part and goes around the thermostat here and just kind of does what it's supposed to do, like this. I'm going to open it up real quick. But yeah, this bad boy would sit on here. Did I get the right gasket? Yes, I did. So this will sit on here like this, and this has got to seal up around all these surfaces as well against that other plate. Well, I also need to check this for flat, because this may be, if this has got a dish this way, that means this might have a crown this way. Now the other plate that mounts on here has a lot more flexibility to it, but I don't want to make it work harder than it has to. So let's just scrape this one off. Let's see what we got. Now I have all the gasket cleaned up off this surface on this side to where I can lay a straight edge on it like I did the other side. And I can already see that this has some rock to it. And I'm guessing if I hold it down to one side, I'll have probably close to that 6/1000 down here. Let's just check and see here what I've got. So right there, well, if it ain't 6, it's going to be real close. Let's go up to 8. Yeah. It's definitely not flat. It's got rock in every direction. So when this thing warped, blew the gaskets, this side here is puffed out this way, and this side here is dished in like this. So I'm going to have to show you how I'm going to make that flat again. Not sure exactly what you call this piece, but I'm going to call it a head cover. The gasket on it was extra crispy. This basically covers the thermostat, covers up the outside of the head where the spark plugs go. See if I can get this thing. Some of it's letting go pretty good, but it's a crispy critter for sure. So I did a little pricing. I went inside, looked up some pieces, and like the head gasket alone is $25 roughly. They got different ones you can buy. Thermostat's about 20 bucks. The head bolts, I thought about replacing the head bolts till I saw the price, and I'm like, man, I don't know how deep I want to get into this yet, but the head bolts are $14.99 each, and there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's $150 in head bolts. But just like everything else, I bet I can get this style bolt cheaper at a hardware store. So I may be doing a little research there. Just because like I said, these got crispy. I'm going to wire wheel one off and take a look at it. I'll tell you, if you're looking at them before and after, it says Rockford, I think, on it. Pretty sure that's Rockford. I'm going to see if I can find that bolt somewhere else. It's magnetic. It's a steel bolt. Unless it's stainless. It's a 400 series stainless, but I doubt it. Because they're painted so for protection. But, yeah, I think I'm going to... I'll do some research, see what else I can find. You guys give me your thoughts. I'll put that in the back of the pan from now and see if I can get the rest of this gasket off here without driving this gasket scraper through my finger somehow. Because I'm guessing this thing isn't crazy flat anymore either. And I'm going to bring out my secret weapon. And you guys might have to come up with your own secret weapon. And different ways of doing it. And also leave your suggestions down as to what you do to make these types of things flat again once they've got a little warp to them. Now the good news about them being heated up and cooled down, once you make them flat again, they're stress relieved really well and shouldn't warp again. But who knows what happens if you expose it to extreme heat one more time. So I can see a lot of high spots around this. You can see where this has been possibly banged a little bit as people go in there with sockets and extract the spark plugs possibly. Guys are probably asking, how come you're putting those towels down on your workbench? Just work on your workbench. Well, it's a nice white countertop, and I don't want to scratch it up too bad too soon. All right, we got that cleaned off. Let's just see if there's any flatness issues going on here as well. My money's on yes, there is, but we'll see. Oh yeah. Well, how can that go all the way from there to there? It's hitting there. I've got this for 4,000s. What am I seeing here? What am I missing? There's tight right there in the end. Loose, tight, loose. So this thing's got all kinds of undulations going on there. You know, that could be, when this thing, aluminum grows. When it gets hot, it grows faster than steel. And when you had all the little bolts that I have here, that were in here holding this up tight against that surface, and the aluminum's trying to grow and trying to expand, and the bolts are like, no, don't go anywhere, I've got you. You know, when this is sitting on here like this. So nothing can grow the same. The bolts are going to go, I'm not growing as fast as you, stop it. And then the aluminum's going, oh, forget you, I'll grow as fast as I want because I'm aluminum and I'm getting really hot and my paint's burning. You know, when that's going on, things just start moving. And you got things holding it in place. Whoa, things holding it in place, things given. But I think we can make it. Let's make this head flat again. That'll be the goal here. Yeah. You see all the surface contact. There's not a lot of contact around here. It's thin areas. Plenty of places for it to go leaking out water. This is, yeah, pretty well covered here, but it only makes contact in a very small patch. And here again, 4 or 5 thousandths. You know, for instance, I'm laying this on here, and I can rock this thing a little bit here and there because this is crowned like this, and yes, this would suck it down. And I don't know of any machining processes that say, hey, let's just machine all this down and leave this. This is just planed off. And leave this raised so it can really pull and warp and bite down on that center. I just don't buy that. This was flat on flat, and it had bolts everywhere it needed to have it to hold it down. So I'm going to show you how I make that flat as well. So we're going to make this side flat, and this side flat before we bolt it back on. And we'll do that next. I'm going to drag out a big heavy piece of flatness that I got going on here. Now I want to talk you through a little bit of the reasoning why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yes, I bought this for a reasonable price, $100 for the whole thing. You know, its pieces and parts that are still good are worth way more than that. And I want to caution you to be careful when you're buying something like this and thinking, oh, I got a bargain, I can just replace the spark plugs and I'm running again, or a head gasket. That may not be the case. So I'm taking a little bit of risk here. What the heck was that? Oh my goodness. Okay, so this this just happened right in front of you. It's melted. This is the pee-hole tube. This comes right out of this cover. It's got a pipe thread on it, and that is completely melted off. Wow. So I can pull that right out. So I got to get me another elbow here, but that was right down in here. And here again, this is something I had. It was just literally stuck right there. I'd pulled it all off without disturbing this thing, and it's crispy. So there again, another little piece. You keep digging a little deeper, and I found out the throttle feels very sticky, but I think it's because, I don't know, I think it's old grease. Things are acting a little funky there. It's like it doesn't want to return. Maybe the heat that this generated when it was under the cover took that grease and turned it into cosmoline, something more sticky substance. There's a lot of things that can happen here. But you know, if you don't restore the compression, if I can't restore the compression first, I might as well stop, because then the rest of the motor has to be split, possibly redeck this surface. Who knows what else could be wrong inside here. So I want to be able to restore the compression. So like I said, the gasket, those two gaskets I think were, I didn't price the other one I guess, but the head gasket was $25. The other one got to be like 12 to 14 to 15 bucks plus shipping. And I did buy a thermostat. This thermostat gets used in multiple other motors I've got here, so it might be all right to go ahead and just hang, you know, that's an extra thermostat if I don't need it. Because once I put this back together and I try to see if I got compression, I don't even have to put the other gasket on. I can just put the head back on, torque it down, put my compression tester in, spin this around, and if the compression is fully restored, I'm talking not fully restored, if I can get 110, 120 pounds of compression out of each cylinder, and they're, you know, somewhat balanced within, you know, 10% of each other, it's like, okay, I've got compression. The rest is just semantics at that point. I might have to get a new coil packs. I might have to, and I have to price those out. I've obviously got to buy a few other pieces that kind of got hot and melted and replace those. This cabling or wiring harness cover, which is normally a nice little flat wrap stuff, is now very stringy and looks weird. It's not right. Anyway, I just kind of, I wanted to walk you through that for a second, just to know when to say when. And right now, I'm not ready to say when. I'm going to clean this surface up real good. I'm going to check it for flat with my straight edge as well, just to see if I got a flat surface, because if this isn't flat, I can't make it flat as easy as I'm going to make the other pieces flat. So I want that to be as flat as it can be. So if this has a couple thou worth of undulations there, the gasket can compress and take up that gap easier than, you know, I can't have two warp surfaces. But so let's get in showing you what I'm going to do to make it flat. That's quite a bit of material to take off there, 6 thou there, to get that flat again. And it's going to take me a minute. And I'm not really sure what grit sandpaper I'm going to use, but I'm going to use a flat surface with some wet dry sandpaper. I'm going to put some I want to say alcohol, but I'm going to put some lightweight oil on it. It's like some 3-in-1 oil or something like that, in order to lubricate it so the paper doesn't plug up It keeps it from loading up the sanding paper, and lets it keep cutting. And I'll be running a figure 8 pattern and rotating it just so I can get that flat surface. And we can check it with the scale afterwards. If I can get not get a 2/1000 feeler gauge underneath that scale, I'm going to have something that I think will work very well. So let's jump into that next. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover here. I'm looking this thing over going, what else is melted? What else is not quite the way it should be? But we're getting there. Like I said, compression, compression, compression. Everything else is achievable after that. If you don't have compression, you got to go deeper dive into things. And I also question this part here while I'm at it. I know I'm droning on here for a bit, but this cover didn't turn dark like the rest of this block did. So I question whether this cover on the side here is going to have to come off and replace. There's a stack of gaskets. There's I think there's a plate, an intermediate plate, and then the block. So there's 2 gaskets in there. That's all sandwiched together. Looking at the diagram, I'm going to take a chance and say this isn't too bad because this didn't change color. This did. So that gasket, I'll make that decision once I decide if I got compression. Let's get back over here and let's plane this head back down so it's flat again for me. Alrighty, here's the secret weapon. Not that secret. What I've got is a piece of 1.5 inch thick aluminum. It does not need to be this thick. Honest to goodness, it does not. This was taken off of a CNC mill that we used for a quick change table years ago. That's why you see the rust on it here. That came from the original table surface. This is aluminum. I stoned this area off to get rid of any type of bumps, or make sure there weren't any bumps or sharp edges or anything, shouldn't be there. So I got a flat surface. This is very flat. I got 220 grit wet dry sandpaper here from 3M. I just picked it up this morning at the Napa store. They sell this stuff, 220, 320, whatever. I wanted 220 because I wanted something that's a little more aggressive to start with, because I have to remove about 6 thousandths worth of material. And as you can see, this surface isn't crazy smooth. I mean, this machine surface wasn't what I'd call, really slick. And it shouldn't be too slick because it kind of has to bite and hold the gasket, right? But, so I decided to go with 220. I thought that might move things along pretty fast. You want something pretty stable. This is kind of bouncy because I got one clamp on that end. And if that clamp lets go, it'll probably crush my leg. But the other secret ingredient I use is get some WD-40 on here. Get this thing wet. It's wet dry. We're going to use it wet. What that'll do is allow it not to load up when I start sanding. And yes, I don't have a lot of extra room with a head this size, but I can do figure 8s with it. And I'm applying not a crazy heavy amount of pressure. And what I'll do is I'll keep figure 8s like this. And I'll rotate it like this. Yeah, it'd be nice if this was twice this size, but we can make this work. So I can already see this getting some aluminum on here. We can start seeing, like right now, you can see how it's getting shiny. Right there, that's real clean. Getting cleaner around the edges. Nothing here. I'm looking for this type of texture to end up in the middle. Once I've got that accomplished, I'm flat. No need to go any further than that. So like I said, I'm applying moderate pressure and even pressure. You can do one-handed, it doesn't matter. As long as you work a figure 8 pattern and keep rotating the part, you will come out with a flat face. Not really hitting here yet at all. We're hitting out here, all the way around to there, and about here all the way down around to here. So this thing's still got a pretty good dish in it. And don't be afraid to be a little generous with the old WD. I like WD because it's thin. It rinses off easy with a little bit of brake clean. And it's okay. You see how I'm running off the paper here and off the paper here? That's okay. It's still doing the same job. Not going to hurt a thing. And that's why you don't want to just scrub. I mean, if the surface is flat enough, you can, but this creates a pattern on the face that's a little more crosshatchy. Not that that even matters, because when they did the machine cut across here, it was not crosshatchy. Yes, that's a technical term that, it's not a technical term, it's just me talking. And I'm going to show you a little bit of this in real time here, just so you get an idea how long it might take. This feels like it's cutting pretty well. Starting to see a little shiny on the inside here, starting to catch a little bit in here. I can see all the machine lines that were in here are just about gone. When I flip it over to do this side will take less time because there's less surface. Starting to see a little bit. It's starting to come into here a little bit now. That's a good sign. You can still see where this is kind of dark right here, but you can see this is 100%. Let me get a rag here, I'll show you. So you can see how clean that is. There is no versus that. See how that looks compared to that? Woo, woo. We're starting to see a little bit of it starting to kiss right here. Right through here. And it's starting to fade off right through here. Fade off, feather out, however you want to look at it. Still got about here to here is not touching. About here to here is not touching. So we'll just keep going. Now when you come off the edge of the paper, don't go past like here or here, because you could tilt this and start scraping the middle and give you a false positive. We don't want that. You see all that aluminum in the paper there? I want to keep that moving. Oh, we're getting there. You bet you we are. Stop here and show you some of the progress, so you kind of get an idea what you're looking for. Now as you can see, we're clean all the way around here now. You can see where it's starting to feather out here and here. You see all this through here that's getting shiny? We're down to here, all the way around to here. And you can see where we're actually making some contact here. We got about from here to here, this area here to go. Once we get this showing shiny, that means we've removed 6/1000ths worth of material off of here, because that's what our feeler gauge was telling us. And it's okay if you decide that this paper's not cutting good enough for you anymore. Put another piece of paper on there. I bought 10 sheets of paper. Cost me $14. Because I bought a pack of 5, 220, and a pack of 5, 320. $14. That's about $1.50 a sheet. A new head, as long as this one isn't cracked, a new head's over $600. And they're available to be bought. But you're better off buying another used motor and pulling the head off of it, to be honest with you. And take a chance that way. You could buy a couple of used motors for that money. Now, if you think you can go after this thing with a belt sander or a grinder with a flat disc on it to try to get this down, don't do it. You will wreck your part. I know some of you think you're really skilled with one of those, but you will wreck your part. We're not trying to move that much material that fast. If I had my druthers, and if they had it, I would have used 180 grit. Because 180 grit would have cut this a little faster and still left plenty good finish on there. All right, I got both sides of the head done. I'll show you that here in a minute. I'm going back in with another fresh sheet because this next piece has a lot of surface to it. And I want to make sure that I have, I wanted to cut it faster. And I don't want to sit here for another hour trying to get it done. And I shouldn't say another hour. I bet I spent about a total of 30 minutes on the head, doing both sides, which isn't bad. The results are tremendous. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. I kind of show you what I got going on here. I just started with the old piece of paper, and you can see where all these high points are. Can you see where they all are? Around every bolt hole. So, when things grow, like I said, this thing was being restricted. Things grow and bulge. This stayed in place. This bulged out a little bit. This isn't wear and tear. This is warpage that happened. So we'll get this one started with a fresh piece, and we'll work it down flat. And then I'll show you the results of both pieces. Oh yeah, I can already feel that. Oh, we'll get your finger down in there. I can already feel it's cutting so much faster just having a fresh piece. Oh yeah, moving along at a lightning pace now. Here I am, not applying a lot of pressure here just because I don't want this thing. I could actually force bend this a little bit. But now that I'm making contact pretty much on the ends, right now, and that'll just bring it all down to flat. I'm not applying enough pressure to actually force a different shape into it on the face per se. Now we got an extreme zoom going on here. I'm going to show you the improvement that we made by doing what we did. Remember, we had 2000s feeler gauge underneath this straight edge that would just slide everywhere with ease. If I put a feeler gauge in here, it just, no matter where I put it, I can slide the scale around. There's absolutely no holes in this thing now, or dishes, or this had a crown. But yeah, that thing is flat, flat, flat. This is the other side. Look at that bad boy. Didn't that turn out great? That is just smooth. There again, no, there's a feeler gauge isn't going to go under here anywhere. This is right. That's beautiful. This piece here, as you can see, I spent a little time on, but it didn't get crazy. There's still some areas here. Let's just see how deep those still are. So that's over 2 thou yet. So I might. This gasket is like super thick. I mean, it is sick thick. If there is such a thing. And the one things I could do here to kind of check it out, just to check it out. We'll get old Mr. Sharpie out here and just kind of examine what we got. Kind of lined it up. So everything outside this blue line kind of gives me an idea, right? Obviously that's pretty good. But yeah, you can see right here where that gasket's gonna not have as much help. So let's just see how much we got. We'll jump back up to 6. Ooh. That's right at 6 thousandths. That's a pretty good gap. Now, the other advantage this piece has over this piece, this side's holding cylinder pressure all around these inner edge here with that gasket. So everything that has the metal ring around it, let me get that back out. See, everything with the metal ring between the head and that's holding pressure. That's holding cylinder pressure. Everything else behind that is holding water for getting in the cylinder. And this water is not under any pressure. It's got, the pressure it has is whatever the P hole generates. You know, it lets the pressure off. As soon as that thermostat opens, it starts leaking, right? And it doesn't have to hold pressure in this chambers, anywhere in any of these chambers, right? So that's an advantage it has. So the gasket, you know, as thick as this is, I wouldn't be afraid of this holding. But what I may end up doing is I might go ahead and get some 180 grit, and that way I can go a little more aggressively with this and knock some of that down and get this thing flat, because it sits really good right now. I mean, I got two surfaces, you can feel it. It doesn't rock or do anything funky anymore. I'm flat again, which is exactly what we want. The cool part is, as soon as I clean up the cylinders, I'm ready to bolt this thing back on and see if we got compression. I've got both cylinders at about midway. That way, anything that drops down the cylinders, I can take a little air and fluff it back out of there. So I don't have to worry about stuff getting down on the other side of the rings via the ports that are in there. Well, I've got this all cleaned up. I'm going to do just a quick flatness check here. Let's see what we got. I can't get you in the shot very well, but right there in the center spot, we're in good shape. It pinches the 2/1000ths, no problem at all. So we got a flat face there. Now all we got left to do is just drop this head gasket in place. Then we can drop the head back in. And now I need to clean up all my bolts. So I did a little research online to see what torque specs are supposed to be on these bolts. And I found anywhere from 14 to 27 Newton meters, 14 to start, 27 to finish, which converts to 123 inch-pounds or 238 inch-pounds, or 10 foot-pounds and 20 foot-pounds. So I've currently set my inch-pound wrench up to 123. And you want to start in a pattern, center first. So we go there, there, then I'll go over here, over here, over here, over here. Then I can go down here. I don't know if I can get at this one. Maybe I can. Yeah. Oh, cool. I was worried I was going to be able to get to that one. So, well, sometimes these bottom bolts are harder to get to. So we'll do that one. There we go. Then we'll come up here and get these last two. So there's 123 inch-pounds. Now this only goes up to 200, so I'm going to go ahead and go up to 200 here with this. Well, it actually goes to 200. Then I can go on up to 220. And it says 238. I'm just going to go up to 220 for now. That feels about right. I'm nervous. I'll tell you right now, I'm nervous because I want to see compression come back. after all this effort. Now, when I say all this effort, what I mean is so far it's been minimal effort, minimal cost, minimal effort to see if this engine is going to be able to come back around. We're going to learn that here pretty quick. Now, things that I was reading and things that I would do is you run this thing for a few hours and you'll come back and retorque the head one more time. Now I'm just going to run around this one more time just to double check everything I did. Alright, I feel good about that. We are torqued. Now for the big moment of truth. We got it zeroed out here. Let's see what she does. Hopefully this drill will handle it. We'll see. Ooh. Wow. Let's get a newer battery. Wow. Oh shit, I let it out. Sorry, Mr. Drill. Oh wow. Top cylinder's 120. We're halfway there, boys and girls. Think we're gonna bring this one right on back around. Come on. $115. I'll take it. All right. We got ourselves a runner here, boys. Pretty sure this is going to work. Well, folks, there you have it. It took us a minute to get there, but now I know that this engine is pretty much salvageable. It's got good compressions. That means the rings aren't stuck from the overheating situation. If the rings were stuck, it wouldn't generate compression. But yeah, I am pleased as punch to have that kind of compression out of here. I just watched a video not too long ago, and Cody Bass, that was another guy I follow, had a 35 horse as well, 30 or 35, and it was only getting 90 pounds of compression. And it fired up and ran great. Now, the difference between 90 pounds and 120 pounds of compression is how much horsepower can it actually generate, right? Lower compression, a little less horsepower, higher compression, a little more horsepower, a little more pop there, right? So I'm pretty pleased with this. It's we got something that will actually run. Now I've got to order some more parts because these coils packs here they're so melted I can't even get them to sit properly on the where they were, because I took all the old plastic that was melted onto these ears, and now I've got an irregular surface here that's just a mess. I'm going to price out some stuff here. I'll probably touch base on this in another video to let you know what parts I was able to order and what's got coming. But so far, and I ordered a thermostat, but I forgot to get the little thermostat ring. There's a little ring that goes around it. And I was like, how did I forget that? Because that's got to go in there. And but we'll get that ordered, and I think we'll make this bad boy run. I'm gonna get coil packs. If the coil packs are, if this power pack's okay, the coils will be good when I replace them. But just a few things to button up here, and I have a feeling we'll be ready to throw this in the tank, put the old remote controls to it, so I can hit the old electric starter and see if the electric starter spins her over and we can get her to kick and fire. I'm excited about it. I think we got ourselves a runner here. Now, you guys, let's recap a little bit on what we've done here to minimize cost to see if I had something to work with. I paid $100 for this particular outboard motor. I bought, I could have just bought one gasket, the one head gasket, for like $24. And there again, I actually ended up using 2 sheets, but I could use 1 sheet at about $1.50 a sheet for the wet dry sandpaper for the 220 grit that I resurfaced the heads with, and showed you how to do that. So yeah, we're less than 150 bucks, or less than 130 right now as it sits, to find out if I did or didn't have a good core here. So right now I'm saying yes, I got a good core. Now I'm not afraid to spend a few more dollars on some coils and get some wiring harness material so I can, this melted weird looking wiring harness I can cut off here and rewrap so those wires are protected again. Still don't know if the fuel pump's good or bad. It's got the fuel pump I like, the bigger version on it. And the hoses look fair. Oh, I got that one elbow that's melted. I'll have to get one of those. Very inexpensive piece. But we'll get it back together here, I believe. But yeah, like I said, 130 bucks invested so far. This long shaft motor on a boat's worth $800 to $1,000 running. And that's kind of a big deal, right? Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative and helpful. And I'm pleased with how this turned out. It's just going to get better from here, I feel. I hope you guys can get out there and find you something like this to do. And, you know, not every outboard you buy is going to be a winner. I've got a few out in my motorhome, as I call it, they're just complete turds. They actually turned into be a parts motor. If you watch the previous video to this one, the Mercury that I took apart, that 20 horse, that thing had seized up, you know, the pistons and everything seized up in the cylinders, and the cylinders were scored. It was a piece of junk. But I was able to salvage some parts off of it that have some value, worth more than what I paid for it. So that's kind of the trade-off. Now, if you're the guy that's going out there and trying to buy an outboard because I want to go fishing, and this is going to be my only outboard, and I'm going to take a chance spending $150 on an outboard or 200 bucks on an outboard to fix up and make go, you could take that chance. Probably the better route for you. I'll be honest with you. You can take that chance if you're interested, but spend another 250, 300 bucks and go get one that's running. At least you got a good chance of getting that first fishing trip under your belt before the motor goes bleh. But do with that advice what you will. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. We'll see you on the next video. And I appreciate everybody out there that's watching, leaving comments. If you saw what I did here today, leave comments as you're watching the video and you go, oh, he's asking a question. Go ahead and leave that comment. If you see something else, leave another comment. I have people that leave multiple comments per video. That's fine. I try to respond to everybody. Until I get too big and famous to respond, I doubt that'll happen anytime soon. I'll usually respond at least with a thank you for watching, or with some answers if you got questions, wherever I can. And I'll be honest with you, if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know the answer. But don't forget to like and subscribe. That helps the algorithms for the channel, helps boost up my views. Keeps me going, it helps fund me a little bit. I'm telling you, I'll be honest with you, it helps fund me a little bit. So these when I get some revenue in, I can buy some parts, keep these projects moving along. I can keep multiple projects going at a time. That's all there is to it. I did get the parts ordered, the carburetor parts ordered for that Mercury 25 we did on the previous video. You guys really like that video. There's a lot of likes on it. There's a lot of views on it. That carburetor kit and float, I got it from oldmercs.com, and I'll re-say that again when I'm doing that video, getting back on it for, you know, putting it back together and getting it running. That carb kit and that float was $102 with shipping, $102. So that's why I say you got to get these for a reasonable price if you're going to work on them, because parts are not cheap. That's all there is to it. It takes a little bit to get them. They're being shipped to me. When they get here is when I'll get them. The other parts I ordered for the old Johnson 15 horse, you know, the big secret. It took about 8 to 9 days for those parts to get to me. They're sitting over there. So now that I've got this to where I want it to be, I've got to go get some more parts. I'll be going back to the old Johnson 15 horse and trying to get that one wrapped up while I wait for parts for these other ones. So that's the circle I got to keep going around until I get some complete. Anyway, get out there, folks. Have fun. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. See you next video.